Hey Bears, Eric here, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Target again. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. Anytime Target does something slightly progressive, they end up in the news. It's like free advertising at this point. Okay. So we talked about them a couple weeks ago, actually, probably like a month ago, where the CEO was doing an interview and tried to throw gay people under the bus for the Pride backlash that happened in June. You guys remember when Target pretended to give a shit and then they didn't really give a shit? And it was all rainbow capitalism, which gay people knew that anyway, but apparently straight people didn't know that. And they had to tell us, they had to swoop in and be our saviors and go, hey, it's all performative. And it's about the kids, which we all know that's a lie too. But they were boycotted. Remember, there was a boycott that was started that people on the right, conservative people, were not going to be shopping at Target anymore. But apparently now they're threatening to boycott again based on this, which is a gay nutcracker, which I have to say, that's fucking hilarious, by the way. Absolutely funny. Gay nutcracker. So apparently at some point, the first boycott ended at some point, and they, I guess, started shopping at Target again. And now we have to boycott again because somehow the boycott ended from Pride. Now it has to start up again. Anyway, it says Target faces right-wing backlash over LGBTQ plus Christmas merchandise. It's not just queer merchandise, by the way. If you're in a wheelchair or you're somebody with any kind of a disability, they don't want you represented either. So you're not off the hook yet. You're not off the hook. And if you're a person of color, definitely you're not off the hook. So an account calling itself In Wokeness, I'm very familiar with this dumbass account, posted images of some of Target's Christmas products, including a nutcracker holding a pride flag and a Santa Claus in a wheelchair. Which, I mean, like, we already know that you guys are homophobic and transphobic, but like now you're going after people in wheelchairs. And Bo here, blue check mark, goes, boycott Target now. Were you not boycotting before, Bo? Did you not get the memo? Lives of TikTok says, remember when Target sold tucking swimwear for kids and their sales dropped, stocks plunged, and they were being sued by shareholders? Apparently, they didn't learn their lesson because they just hired an LGBT and Q activist to lead their LGBTQI plus multicultural merchandising strategy and Pride content, or Pride merchandise probably is what it says. I'm not clicking on it. I'm not giving her a click for that. Both of these accounts are hate accounts. They pretty much just exist to target people. But it's quite funny because you would think that if they're going after Target, they would be going after other places that also had Pride merchandise, right? Because that would make sense. It would make sense that they would go after other places, like more right-leaning shopping options, like Walmart, a site that they didn't seem to give a shit about when their Pride and Joy collection came out. Bianca Negron, I hope I got the last name, Negron, founder of Bianca Designs there. Walmart's Pride and Joy section. And look, you can see here, they had a whole section of Pride stuff in Walmart. Where's it at here? More Pride stuff at Walmart there. Walmart hasn't changed Pride collection following Target backlash. It's funny to me, like it's almost as if it was all performative. They must think that progressive people, that liberal people only shop at Target. So they wanted to stick it to Target. Not because of the Pride merchandise. That wasn't the real reason. That was funneling into boycotting a brand that they saw as more progressive, because they can't boycott Walmart because Walmart exists in all of the heartland of the United States, right? This is their go-to place. They can't go after their own. It doesn't work within their space. So they ignored the Walmart Pride stuff. I heard not a peep about this from any of the normal YouTube bobblehead bigots and pundits that talked about it. It was all about Pride at Target. So they went after Target for that. And it seems like Target doesn't give a shit because they were like, hey, we're going to put out a gay nutcracker. Again, absolutely hilarious. And we don't give a fuck. And that's great. I'm curious to see if it's going to have the same momentum it had in June. I don't think it is. And the reason why is the anti-gay, anti-trans rhetoric is a losing battle. It is a big L in the culture war. And they keep pretending like it's not. But it absolutely is. And it actually, where it matters the most is where we're seeing a lot of these things change. And let's take a look here. This one is quite interesting. And this is why I say that this online culture stuff is just bullshit. It doesn't really mean anything. And I don't mean that it doesn't cause harm. It absolutely does. But in the big spectrum, unless what they're doing online translates into actual oppression and legislation, like some of the stuff we're seeing in Texas, Tennessee, Florida, places like that, where it's actually causing real harm. It's more or less just annoying tantrums is what it is. But here we have election 2023, pro-equality wins and the failures of the anti-trans campaigning. It says here, as the election returns come in from Virginia, Kentucky, and Ohio 1 week ago, this is an older article, but it still stands here. A picture of victory became clear. Voters in those states marked their ballots in favor of pro-equality candidates and issues, and their choices advances LGBTQ equality and representation. And another image emerged as well, that the failure of anti-transgender rhetoric and campaigns. So anybody with half a brain or a quarter of a brain knows that the anti-trans stuff isn't working. It's backfiring. It's not doing what it needs to. This is why a lot of the larger politicians have decided, hey, if we want to win, if we actually want to win some of these things, we need to stop doing this because it is not helping us. It is actually hurting our campaigns. And so they're staying away from it because voters are turning out and they're going, we don't believe in this, which is why I have to remind you that the groups complaining about this there's small pockets of bigotry within the larger communities. They do not speak for the vast majority of people in those communities. A lot of people in the conservative space have told me, and this is something you can look up, you can research this for yourself, but a lot of people have told me they care more about tangible results, things that actually matter, things that you can actually sit down and have a legitimate discussion about, like border security, safety in cities, things like that, stuff that we may not necessarily agree on, but they're actual things that can have tangible results. This culture war stuff, there is no tangible results. It's literally oppression. And we're seeing it get struck down everywhere. Like things like anti-drag legislation, anti-gay legislation, anti-trans legislation. It is all going up against the First Amendment, and it is losing at every turn. There are nothing but L's being handed out to the people that are following up with this. And we have even more to look at here before we wrap this video up. LGBTQ candidate scorecard 2023 election night. Here it says, much of that success came in Virginia, the state that I live in, where Danica Roem, a transgender member of the House of Delegates, won an election to a state Senate seat from Northern Virginia. Roem was up against a Republican opponent endorsed by Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin, who is a massive, had Trump all behind him, trying to win the state of Virginia by about 3 points, becoming the second transgender woman in the U.S. to be elected to a state Senate. Sarah McBride was the first winning her state Senate seat in Delaware in 2010. And this is a state where we were worried because Glenn Youngkin is a pretty massive force. Everybody said that this is the guy they could see going up and being elected for president at some point. It goes, all seven LGBTQ candidates for the Virginia House of Delegates won their seats Tuesday night, and only 2 of those 7 were incumbents, which means there were a lot of first-time electeds. So that's great. Now, Moms of Liberty, who had a bunch of people running for school board races or whatever, they lost everywhere. They lost. In Iowa, Moms for Liberty endorsed 13 candidates for school boards. Guess how many actually won? One of them. 1 of 13 won. All 13 were endorsed by Moms of Liberty, and only 1 of them won. It's pretty clear the message that's being sent there, right? But this happened before this next bit of news came out. Moms for Liberty care about children, right? It's in the title, Moms for Liberty. This organization cares about children. So there should be no question about the credentials within Moms of Liberty, except maybe there is. Here we go. Philadelphia, Moms for Liberty organizer is a registered SO. Philip Fisher Jr. was convicted of aggravated assault abuse of a 14-year-old in 2012. The call is coming from inside the house. This is just one of many stories where we could talk about the hypocrisy within these organizations that try to come after marginalized communities. And they are losing the battle. They're losing the race. They're losing the fight. We're talking about actual real action, like people being elected in positions that can actually affect the daily lives of marginalized people. Not this bullshit on the internet, not this dumb like boycotting Target, not all these dumb videos that people are making, all of that stuff. You guys can keep coping, telling yourselves that you're winning the battle and that all the progressive people, all the diversity, all of that is losing out. It's just not true. It's not true. There's a cognitive dissonance in what is being said on one side and what is actually happening in real life. And you have to decide, do you want to keep denying reality and staying within an echo chamber of hate, or do you want to reach out and expand and be part of the real world? That is a decision that you have to make. You have to decide that for yourself.